So today is March the 19th, and we are starting to learn stem and leaf plots and histograms. Now, histogram, to be honest, it's going to look like a big fat bar graph. You'll have seen these before. It's the stem and leaf plots that are way out there. Stem and leaf plots. I have personally not seen in the business world, but I'm hearing that Ms. Wright taught it in science, meaning that I'm wondering if it's a science thing, and that's kind of why we need to know it. I guess you'd say I don't have any science friends in the world of science business to know, but there must be some job out there in your future that might use this. Now, so we're going to start with stem and leaf plots. A stem and leaf plot's kind of like it sounds. It's going to have this stem, and it's got these little things shooting off of it, the leaves. When creating these, okay, so this is the first one we're going to do, the stem and leaf plot. Okay, we're going to construct one, and they call this one a back-to-back stem and leaf plot because we're going to do two sets of data. Now, you've got to stick with me because this is kind of a weird topic and parents really aren't going to know it probably. Now, we're going to start by what I would call putting these in order from least to greatest. Just start with that. So you can kind of see my numbers and all that I'm working with. Okay, so I'm going to start with this first set of test scores. The first example has, I'm going to call this example. Okay, and this is fourth. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to start with the list of Kelsey's test scores. Now, give it a name, like make sure you write Kelsey so you know what those numbers stand for. Okay, going from least to greatest, just like last week. And I kind of mark them off. Okay, kind of checking my list, making sure I got it all right. Okay, now I'm going to have to do the other person. You might want to leave some space between them in case we need it. Okay, the other person's information is Tammy. Okay, so I'm going to go once again least to greatest. If you try to skip this part, to be honest, you will probably make a lot of errors. This just kind of helps organize the numbers. So that's just the beginnings, like I just listed them from least to greatest. Okay, now to construct a stem and leaf plot, sorry, I almost said box and whisker. It kind of looks like a T-chart. Okay, so leave you some space. You're going to need kind of like a line, but here you need two lines. That is where your stem will be, down the middle there. Okay, we're going to put all of Kelsey's data on this side, and I'm going to put all of Tammy's data over here. Okay, now the next step is to create the stem. And you have to look at your data or your numbers to figure out what you want to make the stem out of. So looking at all these numbers, we've got, like looking at Kelsey's, we've got 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100. I look down here at Tammy's. She's got 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100. So you're basing it on like a place value. So we're going to base this one on like a tens place. But the first one we got is 60s. Does that kind of help a little bit? Okay, so we need to start out our data with a stem of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then 100 would only be a 10 for now. I'll show you why in a minute. Okay. Now, you've kind of made the stem part of it. Now we got to make the leaf part of it. Here's what I do. I personally am going to cover this up because if I don't, my brain will get all mixed up. Okay. So I'm only looking at Kelsey's numbers. When I graph this thing, because Kelsey's on the left, it's kind of awkward. We're going to graph it kind of backwards. So her first number is 68. Well, if my 6 is here, my 8 is going to be right there. Her next number is 76. So I got a 7, I need a 6. Her next number is 86. So here's my 8, I need a 6 to represent 86. Then there's an 89. So I need an 8, but I also, over here, I got to have a 9 to represent 89. Then there's 91. So there's 9. Here's a 1. Then there's a 93. And then there's a 97. And then her last number is 100. Since we've got the 10, we just add a 0 to make 100. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was confusing.
Huh. Like, we didn't even know she taught it. Like, this is the first time we've had a science teacher even talk about it, and it's just because one of my kids admitted to, like, they told me. It's awesome, because I do kind of wonder now, I just don't have any friends that are, like, scientists to really know if this is something they use. Yes, and we've asked her, we're like, hey, you taught math. Like, if you can bring in any math topics, please do. So, it's kind of good. I won't lie. Oh, it's crazy looking. I won't lie. Like, the first time I taught this stuff, it is weird. I won't lie at all. Okay, so looking at Tammy, I'm going to kind of cover up this side for a minute, and I'm just going to do Tammy's numbers. Did she have any 60s?
No.
No. She has a 75, so I need the 5 next to that. She has a 78. So this side's easier to understand because the numbers are lined up. Okay, 83, 85, 85, 93, 99, and then 100. So you've just created what's called a back-to-back stem and leaf plot because it's got two sides. To be honest, if it was only one person and one set of data, it would just be that side. So if they only did Tammy, it would only be this side. To me, which is the easier side to read anyway. Okay? Now, the last part of creating one of these things is making what's called a key. And if you think about it like a map key, it kind of tells how to read it, I guess. And I'm going to kind of put it down low. Okay. So a key, all it is you pull out two numbers from your data, such as the 8 and the 6. All it does is this. I do 8 with the bar 6 equals 86. It just means, how do you read that when you see it? This means that. Someone else might have, I shouldn't have 86. I should have 68. Good catch. Listen, because I forgot I was on the other side of it. I should write 6/8 equals 68. I messed that up big time. Okay? Another kid might have 7/5 equals 75. Another kid might have 8/6 equals 86, because there's an 8 and a 6. You're just showing how when you broke it apart, what it really equals. Easy breezy? Okay. Now that we've made it, now we got to read it. Okay, so going back to the questions. Okay, so here I go. On letter B, it asks, for how many science tests did Kelsey receive an 86% or above? 86% or above. Okay, so I'm kind of looking at my data here. Okay. 1 second. Trying. Okay, so Kelsey's on this side. We need 86 or above. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't forget the 100, because that's definitely above an 86. Okay. Good on that one. Okay. The next one. Who received the lowest score? Kelsey, because it is a 68. Don't put a 0 here, because if you put a 0, that means you're a 60, right? Okay, compare the median and the range. Here we go. And I'm just going to have to do these. I'll be honest, when I do median and or range, I kind of go back up to these original numbers. That's why I left some space, because it's just easier to see in this. So median.
89 plus 91 divided by 2. That sounds like a nerd. I just realized I was.
That's okay. Here we go. Kelsey, I'm going in.
Median
90. 90 for Kelsey. Median for Tammy. Guys, if you're waiting on me, like you're going to be lost when it comes to test on Thursday. Where's the median? 85. You're just scaring me. Okay. Then we need the range. Biggest minus smallest. 100 minus 68 for Kelsey.
32.
32. And Tammy? 25. Now, thinking about just all this, just taking a minute and thinking about the numbers and everything. These are some kids, these two kids' test scores. I want you to think about it. Science test scores. I wouldn't really want to be this Kelsey because her grade was a 68 on one of them. But when you start looking, if you look at the median, Kelsey's got a higher median at 90. The middle number. That's not bad. That's an A. Okay? But look at the range. Do you want your test scores really spread out a lot? No. The problem is this. You do, when they're squished up, you want them up here by the AB range, right?
Yeah.
What if they're squished up but they're down here by the DF range? That's not good. So you've got to look at where it's squished up at. Like, Tammy's is better, but like it's got to be in the right range for the right kind of data. So like Tammy's is only spread apart 25 points. But what if her spread is way down between only B's and F's or something, 60s and 50s or something? Okay? The last thing, think about this. If you're talking test scores, and you're let's say you got to pick which kid you want to do. You want to, like, where do you want to be? Which kid am I, like, going to be like? What would be the best way to truly figure that out?
Adding them all up.
Adding them all up and dividing. To find a mean. to find a mean. A girl in my last class did it, and I think Kelsey's was like 90-something, and Tammy's was like 87 or 89. You got to look at all the numbers, is what I'm saying. You can't always just look at the lowest or the highest. Okay? These stem and leaf plots are easy to see the lowest number. That's what they're made for. The lowest number is what? Okay, I'm standing here. The lowest number is 68. The highest number? 100. The mode is easy to see. Where's the mode? 85, because there's 2 5s here, and that 8 goes with them. Mode is very easy to see. So if we're looking for a repetitive grade, a grade that happens a lot, this is an easy way to do it. Honestly. Yes. Okay, 89.5.
87.5.
Oh, maybe I had it backwards then. I'm not real sure. My thing is reading it. We're supposed to be teaching interpreting it, reading it. I will say this. If you write a sentence and you say Kelsey is better, it ain't going to get you any points. I need to know why Kelsey's better. Give me something we've talked about, mean, range, whatever, and give me a number to back it up. This is math class. So, she's got a higher range, but give me a number. Don't just say she has a higher range. I need a number to back it up. Okay? Good on that one. Okay. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. That's all it is. Okay. On the next part, we are now going to learn to make a histogram. Histogram. And histograms are not real hard to make. We need this frequency table, though, that is over here. Now, they are assuming you already can read this based on last year and what it's talking about. We've got the tally marks. So somebody sat and took a bunch of tally marks on how many books these kids read. And then they changed the tally marks to a frequency number, just meaning the number it represents. But on a histogram, this is the weird stuff, it's going to look like a bar graph. But it covers an interval. So when we say 6 books were read, we really don't know, or 6 kids read books, we really don't know if they read 0 books or 2 books. Or 1 book. We just know that there's 6 kids who did this. We know 10 kids read between 3 and 5. But we don't know if they each read 3, 4, or 5. It is a kind of like an average in between it. Okay? Now, to make a histogram, they say to take the frequency table and draw, letter A says draw a histogram. So here we go. I'm going to start you want to start by kind of making an L. Okay. So you got your 2 walls. I'm starting with it without you guys. I hope you're with me. We're drawing a histogram. I'm trying. I don't know what else I can do, guys. Now, we're going to start with the frequency down this side. The frequency numbers go down the side. And looking at the frequency numbers, there's a 3 and a 4 and a 7 and a 10 and a 6. So I need it to be 1 through 10. Okay? I'm going to go over here and I'm going to, using the lines of the notebook paper, I'm going to number it. Okay. And on the bottom is where you put your intervals. You don't really need the word intervals, but I'm trying to show you that all the little dashy numbers are going to go at the bottom. Okay. And these intervals are standing for the books
that were read. Okay. Now, here we go. Making the intervals. This is the weird part. They need to try to be the same fatness, thickness, whatever, going all the way across. Probably not, but I teach math, thank goodness. So, like there's an interval of 0 to 2. So what I do is I'm going to put 0 to 2, and I'm going to put a little line there. I'm going to try to make the next ones that same thickness, fatness, whatever the word is. Okay, 3 to 5.
I think that's how it is.
Okay, 6 to 8. 9 to 11. And yes, you got to label them all. And 12 to 14. Whoops, I did that wrong. 12 to 14. And then a little dashy line. Okay. To be honest, try not to have anything hanging off. Since I'm the teacher, I'm taking it off. Okay. Because wherever this thing ends is supposed to be like the wall of it. It's supposed to end there. Like, it's got, the bars in this graph have got to go from wall to wall of the chart. Okay? So, now to graph it, 0 to 2 was what number? 6. So what I do is, I'm going to go over here to 0 and 2. I'm going to find 6, and I'm going to kind of match them up, and now shade it in. Notice it goes all the way to the wall, though. Okay. 3 to 5 was 10. Trying. Okay. 6 to 8. 7. Then I go 9 to 11. I know they're not going to be perfect, guys. Just, you know. And then 12 to 14 is 4. Notice mine is like touching that wall. Histograms are covering space. Are covering, I don't know how to say it, thickness of space. So the key is this. When you see a bar graph is when you see space in there. But we're not supposed to see space in there with these things. Okay. Now, but it's got to be pretty precise, guys. Pretty precise. And you've got to have words down. I'm seeing people already that didn't write the word frequency, didn't write books read. Now, we also need a title or points come off. Title of this one, number of books read. You just copy it off of the information that you were given. I'll be honest, all of that, all that has to be there. Okay, so you've created it. We've now drawn a histogram to represent our data. Okay. Do what? Like a bar graph. To me, it looks like a bar graph. It's just got fat bars. That's all it is. The bars have to touch. They have to touch on a bar graph. On histogram. Okay, so letter A we did because it says draw a histogram. Letter B. Now, this is where we have to read them, and I need you to be careful. Letter B says, how many students read 6 or more books? 6 or more. Here is the 6 or more.
14.
So you got to add them all up. Right. It is 7 plus 3 plus 4. You got it. 6 or more is all 3 bars together. Like, it starts here and goes all the way over. So you got to add that number plus that number plus that number. You see how I got it? Like this bar, the 6 to 8 bar goes up to a 7. That bar goes up to a 3, and then that bar goes up to a 4. All these kids read more than 6 or more books. So we got to add them up. There's a lot of adding on this one. Like, you really got to look at what they're asking. Okay. And I'm just getting these questions off of here, guys. Okay, letter C says, how many students read between 9 and 14 books? 9 and 14. So, just 9 to 14 is 7. Please turn around, please. Okay, letter D asks, which interval contains the highest frequency? The highest number. 3 to 5. And don't just say 3. Make sure you give me an interval. 3 to 5. When they want intervals, they want these things with the little dash mark. They could ask us the lowest. They could ask us a difference in 2. We would just subtract them, right? Okay. There's a lot to do with just reading these things. Okay. Now, I'm going to help you get started on your homework. If you will flip it over. It's, like I said, none of it is hard. It is just time consuming and paper consuming. Okay. So the homework is on the back. And we're going to start with number 1. I'll be honest, I'm just going to flip this piece of paper over and start it. Okay. And most classes I've been able to at least get through number 1. I'm going to try to get through number 2, but we'll see. Here we go. Okay. So number 1 says, make a back-to-back stem and leaf plot of each set of data, then compare the median and the range. So we got one set is the bus ride in minutes, the other set is the car ride in minutes. Okay, here we go. Number 1. I'm going to put my bus list of numbers. I'm going to skip some space, and I'm going to put my car list of numbers. Okay, I'm going to mark them off as I go. Here we go. And I'm just doing one at a time. Some of you haven't even started this or looked at paper yet, and what worries me is you'll have this for homework then. I'm trying not to make it homework. But if you won't write it down, guys, get with me. Please get with me. You're going to have to do this on notebook paper. There's nowhere to make a stem and leaf plot on this piece of paper for number 1. Okay, I'm going to do the car numbers. Okay. So, once I get on my numbers, the first thing they want me to do is make the back-to-back stem and leaf plot thing. Okay, so I'm going to go down a few lines, because I may have to write up there in a few minutes. I know it's going to have a stem down the middle, leaves shooting off. I need one side to be the bus and the other side to be the car. Looking at my data, I have 9, I have some 10, like I have, 13. These are all based on 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s. Same thing down here. So I must be needing like 10, 20, 30, 40 as my base. But what would be the base for a 9 then?
0.
0. Because these have all got the base of 1. So go back 1. That would be 0, 9. Okay, so we need to start out our stem with a 0. Then I need a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. Okay. Now, I'm only going to do one at a time. I'm only going to do the bus first. Just kind of getting rid of all this for a second. Okay. Bus is 0, 9, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 6, 1, 7, 2, 4, 2, 9, 2, 8. Okay, now I'm going to do the other one, which is the car side. Now, there's no zeros with a car, so make sure you don't put anything there. The first one is an 11. Okay, so I just made the stem and leaf plot, but now they need median and range. Median and range. Okay, so, I don't know. I'll just put the median over here. Median, bus, car. I'm just trying to make it where y'all can see it in the camera at the same time. Okay, so for median's middle number, $24.5, because it's, if I added and divided by 2, going in for the car, okay, it'd be these two, add, divide by 2 would be 24. Okay, range, biggest minus smallest. Bus, car. Okay, so 47 minus 9 is 38. And 41 minus 11 is 30. All that is answers. All that. Like, from there down is what I would have to check. Every little leaf and the whole bit. Okay. I'm going to go in and try number 2 now. Construct a back-to-back stem and leaf plot of the data in the table at the right. So, here we go. Please do not be packing up until the bell rings. Yes, you might need another sheet of paper. Going down to number 2. So here is my data. Okay. You may, yes. I'm going to only do part of this at one time. So I'm going to kind of fold my paper just so I'm only looking at one thing. Okay, so I'm on the side that says Tigers points scored. And I'm going to do my numbers from least to greatest. Here I go. I don't know why you wouldn't be getting this down with me. It's different from my friends that are leaving, but the rest of you still got a few minutes. There's all the Tigers points. Now I'm going to do the Eagles. Going through. Let's see. There's a 50 and then a 53. I find it interesting how many of you are not doing this with me. I wish I could kind of call names right now because it'd be on the video, but I'm trying not to. It amazes me when I sit here and try to help you guys. But I don't know why you wouldn't do it with me. Practice makes perfect. You may go. If I was you, I would continue watching this video when you get home to check your work. It wouldn't hurt anything. You're welcome. You guys have a good one. Whoops, almost skipped one. Okay, so I've got all my numbers listed. Now I'm going to go in and construct a stem and leaf plot. Here I go. So much fun. Tigers. You're going to have to go now. Sorry. And Eagles. Okay, looking at all these scores. They're based on 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. So, I'm going to start it out with 50s and go up to 80s.
Do I come for Homework Cafe here?
In there, that way it's just quiet. Okay, so I'm going to do just, starting out, like I'm going to do just the Tigers. Here I go. 52, 54, 58, 65, 66, 70, 74, 74, 78, 80, 86, 88. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Eagles, 50, 53, 54, 58, 58, 62, 66, 60, 7, 70, 72, 75, and 82. So, I have now constructed it. Letter A says, looking back at this question, letter A says, which team scored the highest number of points? So the highest number of points is 88, which would be the Tigers. Okay. Kind of looking down here. I'm trying. There we go. And then letter B says, how many times did the Tigers score in the 80s? So Tigers scored 1, 2, 3. Bah, see ya. Tigers scored 3 times in the 80s. And the Eagles, I'm losing my mind at this point. Okay. This side is the Eagles. And the Eagles scored 1 time in the 80s. Okay. Now, for the rest of this worksheet, you are using these, like this graph goes with these 4 questions. You don't have to make it, you just have to read this and goes with that. Then using number 4, you're using these 2 graphs to go through these 2, these questions. Tomorrow we'll talk about 3 and 4 and how, just the reading and the questions. Thank you.